Hello, hello. Technical difficulties. Happy Sunday, and let's see if I can get this rolling this time. Everyone ready? Karen Reed and Turtle Boy are turning on each other, and it's glorious.
If I wanted to throw Karen Reed under the bus, I could have done that, but I'm not going to do that because I have principles.
This is what we call karma.
I am worried about trial. I don't want to put my life at the hands of 12 people too stupid to get out of jury duty.
He's been colluding with Karen Reed since last summer.
I get paid by the defense
to terrorize and intimidate the witnesses in her murder trial.
I don't actually believe any of this shit, guys. I do it for the money. So just keep paying me, please.
Turtle Boy is gloating about destroying the lives of innocent people.
The entire country would recognize Colin Albert. That's one good thing we got out of this, at least.
David Yannetti and Alan Jackson were also involved.
A friend and colleague of Brian Albert's called me on February 2nd and named Brian Albert and his nephew Colin Albert as potential suspects.
How did you know Colin Albert was in the house?
Who?
How did you know Colin Albert was in the house?
Probably through you. I don't even know Colin Albert.
When they knew there was no basis for it.
You've never been in a fight?
No.
It's the Kung Fu Panda. You're holding his arm.
Indicating that you have no violent tendencies and no violent proclivities. Correct?
Nope.
What were you saying on that video?
That I would beat them up.
Did you say you would beat them up, or did you say, I will fuck you up?
I said I will F you up.
No, you didn't say, I will F you up. What did you actually say?
That I would fuck them up.
What Mr. Lally did not tell you is there's another member of the Albert family that has a Ford Edge, and that's Colin Albert.
Okay. That was a threat, correct?
I don't know if I would call it a threat. I'm not sure.
When I go into Canton and I hold peaceful protests outside of Chris Albert's pizza shop on the busiest street in town.
Please don't film me. You're trespassing. Please leave.
Okay, I just wanted to ask you a question.
You can't ask me anything.
Okay.
Get out of my store right now.
You know Colin was in the house, right? She knows it.
The hell he was.
All I get are honks, people screaming, free Karen Reed, we support Turtle Boy.
Yes, Colin was in the house.
They calling us murderers, harassing us.
Guys are bullies with cameras.
How are we
Bully
bullies?
with a fucking camera, you're a liar.
Their third-party culprit defense turns out to just be lunch lady research.
John O'Keefe was murdered inside 34 Fairview Road by the Alberts and left out to die, and that Karen Reed was framed. This is a fact, not an opinion.
And the real kicker here is that they've known all along that Karen Reed is guilty.
She felt she struck something. She said, Dad, I think I struck something. I said, what do you mean struck something? Right? This was in the hospital. Right? She says, I remember, all right, backing up and hitting something.
We don't need to promote the 3-point turn story.
And you're going to see this over the next few weeks as more evidence comes out that there was never any question whether Karen Reed killed John O'Keefe.
I think that there was a lot of political pressure on this district attorney's office.
She kept saying, this is all my fault. This is my fault. I did this.
She said, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? And I said, no, I don't think you hit him. She repeated, I hit him.
I hit him. I hit him. Oh my God, I hit him.
I hit him. I hit him. I hit him.
Manslaughter is a tremendous reach in this case. I don't see any criminal intent that would justify manslaughter.
I didn't see any actual tears, but
There was no criminal intent. This was not some random stranger. This was my client's boyfriend, somebody with whom she was in love.
I'm not happy per se. Just realistic, there are cracks, and it's far from perfect.
I think things went too far. It was late. There was alcohol involved.
But things have deteriorated.
At 4:30 in the morning, my client is placing multiple calls.
Jen! Jen!
She was just screaming, "Where's Mike? Where's Mike?" I answered the phone, and she said, "John's dead."
She had no idea that he was deceased or that anything had happened.
Karen said that she remembered leaving him at Waterfall.
Karen, we saw you outside of my sister's.
I saw the black SUV arrive to the Fairview.
There was another vehicle in front of us.
Up the hill towards us?
On the same road coming from the opposite direction.
It was a black SUV.
I've noticed a male and a female in the car.
A car length and a half in front of me.
And at any point in time, did you see anybody exit from that vehicle at any point?
No.
You never saw anyone around the SUV, correct?
Correct. Yes, I definitely looked out a third time. I'd say moved up maybe another car length in front of us. It had now proceeded further up the road, past the flagpole, past the utility box, past the fire hydrant.
Fair to say that you would have seen a 6-foot man walking away from that car going towards the house?
Correct.
Okay. You were in a vantage point where you would have seen that had that occurred, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't see that?
I did not.
She told me that she didn't remember going there. Miss Reed came running up my walkway, saying that she had cracked her taillight. We need to go to Fairview. I told Matt that I was going to go with Karen. I promised Kaylee. I promised Kaylee that I would find John and everything was going to be okay.
She was just acting kind of erratic.
All of a sudden, Karen starts screaming, "There he is."
So I looked over and I didn't see anything. And I looked at Jen and I said, "She's crazy." And I unlocked the door and I sat back and watched. And she ran over to a mound of snow.
Were you able to see anything outside of the vehicle?
I saw nothing.
But couldn't see him right away. I had to get out of the truck to see.
I ran over and I dug his head out of the snow.
Carrie wiping the snow off of John's face, and I could not believe that that was John laying there. She tells Karen to do mouth to mouth. Blood starts coming out of John's mouth.
She just yelled back in the phone, "John's dead." He's dead.
And again, at what time did you receive that text message?
6:34.
Karen, did you ever say I hit him? I hit him.
I did not. I said I hit him
It was several times.
because he's dead.
She told me that she had to remember the bad times.
Having a psychological issue.
She had blood on her face, her neck and chin. She kept saying, I can't take care of these kids. They're not my kids.
Because I went from being solo to trying to give attention to kids who aren't mine. And I never wanted kids.
Karen was just a babysitter with benefits.
His sister and his sister's husband had passed away, and he told me, "Yeah, I have the kids now." I admired that. I thought that was amazing.
He and I dated when we were kids, and then his sister died, and everything got fucked up.
She grabbed my hands and she said, "Google hypothermia, Google how long it takes to die in the cold."
She asked if somebody could be alive in the snow without a jacket for many hours.
She would have periods of calmness, and then other periods she would appear agitated.
Go from crying in her hands to all of a sudden perking up.
She had said that they had gotten into an argument.
Screaming my name over and over.
She said anybody who knows Carrie Roberts wouldn't say those things. It seemed strange to say something like that after you were just crying because your husband was dead.
If anything did she say about Miss Roberts?
Objection.
Sustained.
What could have happened was that did I incapacitate him unwittingly, somehow, and then in his drunkenness, passed out?
He said, "What about my taillight? What about my taillight?" And I looked, and there was a piece missing.
Never stayed out at night without her.
She told me that she had to remember the bad times, which struck me as an odd comment to say. She said, "I don't think I'm ever going to see you guys again." And I said, "Of course you will. We're friends."
Karen Reed was framed. Her car never struck John O'Keefe. She did not cause his death.
What the fuck is wrong with Peggy O'Keefe? Oh, she's fucking old. You're being mean to the mother. Well, fuck her too, okay? Fuck her too. You're old and we have to be nice to fucking old people, especially when their fucking kids died.
Good. Paul O'Keefe. After what he's helped do to me, I changed my mind. I don't want him changing teams. Real shit was stupid.
You are a disgrace to your brother, dude. A disgrace. You are a disgrace. I'll say whatever I want.
He said they found Johnny in the snow this morning.
Karen Reed was there.
Harassing him, saying he was at the house when it's not true.
You've never been in a fight?
No.
You're aware he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert.
Brought down to the basement.
Constant phone calls.
Seriously, what do you want with me?
I mean, we couldn't leave the house without people taking pictures of us, and it's very terrible.
They're cop killers, ladies and gentlemen. That's a cop killer right there. You're stupid cunt daughters, that's what they fucking are. Hanging out with this fucking worthless piece of shit, Colin fucking Albert.
Awful messages.
Showing up to our doorsteps, our sports games.
Hey, Jen, how you doing? Fancy seeing you here.
Sorry, do you have a child on the team?
Do you?
I do, so I'm trying to watch.
No, I'm at a public event, so I can do whatever I want.
People showing up at our house.
You guys are being taken for a fool.
That's terrible.
We're being taken for a fool. Tell us how.
People emailing my school. Just like a lot of harassment. Can I have a moment, please?
Sure. Killed a cop. They killed a police officer, John O'Keefe.
We're done with
She Googled how long to die in cold.
How long a period of time has that persisted?
A very long time. There was absolutely no canine DNA.
Karen Reed was there.
Yeah, Paul, talk about your mama. What's she gonna do about it? You fucking drunk? Fuck those people, man. Fuck them. Disgusting. Disgusting. Like with the O'Keefes, like, enough of the fucking pity party for these fucking people. About John not being alive, he doesn't have to be around any of you useless maggots for a second more. Fuck you. Fuck your high horse. Burn in hell. That's what I think of you.
Want justice for John O'Keefe.
I mean, we couldn't leave the house without people taking pictures of us, and it's very terrible.
Obvious with all the evidence that she didn't do it.
About the harassment we faced.
This is a direction, a directive. Either you trust me or you don't.
They took a picture of my daughter and put semen on it.
It brings tears to my eyes. It's not right. It's horrible. The truth needs to come out.
Showing up to our doorsteps, our sports games.
They're going to look at them funny and just for the rest of their lives.
There was a rolling rally outside of my house where people just screamed at us.
At best, they're going to be the people that got away with murder. At best. So that's their future.
I am a witness. That's all I am. I am not on trial.
No, that's not true. That's not true. When I showed up, when I got to them, they're confused. Dave Unetti's a little confused.
Well, I haven't talked to Dave Unetti. At least when these people go out in public now, people are going to know exactly who they are and exactly what they did. I am the reason that this story is blown up. Like, that's just a fact. I'm the reason that there's people outside protesting. I'm the reason that over $300,000 has been raised for this. I'm the reason that, people like the Roccos have an audience to raise money from. That audience would not exist were it not for yours truly. Okay? And I paid the price for it. I went to jail. Okay? And I could have gotten out of jail whenever the fuck I wanted to get out of jail. If I wanted to throw Karen Reed under the bus, I could have done that. But I'm not going to do that. Because I have principles. I have principles.
God. That guy. So yeah, in a nutshell, Turtle Boy is evil. I mean, from the beginning, even when he, now that we know we got the search warrants, he was from the beginning working with Karen Reed. I think all the way back from April, that's when we started seeing like the text and stuff. And so I debated with him I think in July, I first started hearing about it, or in June. And at first I believed it. And then, because I try to like validate everything that I see, and that's basically any piece of evidence. I mean, that's what everybody should do, and that's what I kind of try to encourage on, you know, with any piece of information. So like the Colin Albert fight videos, one looks like it's in Florida or something, so like that one's questionable. The one where it's Kung Fu Panda, I think that one does look like it says Canton on their shirts, and the colors I think are Canton, so that's potential, but that's definitely not a fight either. And then the other one, the locker room where it's like he's fighting the black kid, I don't know. I don't think that just doesn't look like none of their shirts. I was trying to read the shirts, like the teams and stuff. It doesn't look like Canton. I mean, it doesn't mean that. I have no idea. But I mean, people are just, if Turtle Boy says this is Colin Albert, people are just going to run with it and believe it from the beginning. Even when I debated with him in August, I think it was in August or it was in July. And it was when I had come to the realization that this whole thing was a sham. And it was because I started trying to validate some of these claims. Like, oh, it was Jen McCabe that orchestrated the whole thing. Turns out, you know, it was everything that she had said had been corroborated by the niece and by Carrie and by a whole bunch of other people. And so, and then like the data, the purposeful misinterpretation of the data, I mean, that was like a big one. And so, I mean, I just think in the beginning, in that conversation with him, he was saying things like in the affirmative. And so anytime I'm talking about stuff, I'm like, well, it could have been, should, like, maybe this is what happened, because, you know, we don't know, we don't have the information. But he was always speaking in the affirmative. Like he was saying, I know those are dog bites. I know this. John definitely went in the house. He was definitely beaten. It's a fact. And I was just like, how the hell does he know that? Like, I don't know, but that makes people believe him and not question it, because even though he's a known liar, it's like, it's such like, it's bizarre. It's like in the age of information, people are just going to blindly follow someone like that gets caught in lies, that went to jail for lying. And so it's just unbelievable. And like in that conversation too, one of the things that he said that stuck out to me was, I said something about a plea deal, and he's like, no, we're not taking any plea deals. We're not taking any plea deals. And so I was always kind of like, ever since then, I was like, he's working with them. And it turned out to be true. And I was in the group, like the Justice for John O'Keefe group, the Facebook group. I think that's how this all started. And I just thought it was like community members. Turns out it's like Turtle Boy and Karen Reed literally running it. And so this whole propaganda machine has been run directly from Karen Reed. Like she is the one. It's not citizens coming up and doing this on their own. She is behind it all. She is the one calling all the shots. And that's what that search warrant that came out kind of shows. They're going to hold off on, you know, pushing any charges until this case goes through. But I mean, it's wild. Because if you think about it, we know that she got the plea deal 16. Well, we don't know. Allegedly, she got a plea deal for involuntary manslaughter. This was way back when it first happened, within the first couple months, I think. And I think she kind of verbally accepted it, and then she backed out of it. And so she verbally accepted it, and it was a minimum of 16 months involuntary manslaughter. And then she backed out of it. And when she backed out of it, they continued the investigation, and they ended up like looking at all the evidence, because they probably halted the investigation to some degree. I don't think they were still interviewing people. And that's why, like, in this trial, you'll kind of see, like, when they ask people, oh, when were you questioned? Some of them weren't questioned till like a year later. And that's because they kind of had enough statements to kind of put her at the scene of the crime. She said she was never there. And then, you know, turns out, yeah, 7 people saw her car there. So it's bizarre. And so then she decided on the Colin Albert thing. Colin Albert beat him up. And then in the Gretchen Voss interview, what Gretchen Voss put in her article kind of shows that Karen Reed was like taking full credit for all of these conspiracy theories. She's the one that got the people's kids and put them out there. She's the one that did all of it. And it's like, you know, Turtle Boy is the mouthpiece. He's the one with the megaphone, but it is Karen Reed's words. And so everything that he's saying. And, even attacking the family, because if at any point, because Karen Reed is in charge, she could have been like, don't mess with this person, don't mess with that person. And she's not. She's like, go right ahead. I think at one point in one of the messages, she was uncomfortable with the harassment, but then she became very comfortable with it quickly. So Alan Jackson, Microdots is working directly with Alan Jackson. All of these bad faith, and they're bad faith content creators on YouTube, working directly with them or just doing it for likes and clicks, but they are making bad faith arguments. They are completely pushing a narrative that is untrue, knowingly, just like Turtle Boy did. I mean, Turtle Boy is more in the weeds because he's calling out people specifically and saying, they definitely did this, they definitely did that. But like Eleni Little, the guy that's on the Young Jerks, I saw someone calling him out on X the other day. So I'm confused about when her lie started as well, because somehow she was able to get into things. And so from what they're saying, so whenever she deleted the Ring camera, right? And like her phone data though, like her phone seems to have been in airplane mode when she killed him. Like, I don't know if this is true, but it seems to be, because they cannot decide. The Commonwealth and the defense are arguing about when she left that house. And I don't understand how they can be arguing about that, because she had a cell phone, right? Unless the cell phone was in airplane mode and it's not tracking her location. So maybe it wasn't on the way there. Maybe she turned it on into airplane mode as soon as she killed him. Like, I have no idea, but I feel like that's pretty telling. Unless she was able to, wipe the phone before Proctor picked it up at 4:30, which would be shocking if she had thought about that. In the Ring camera footage disappearing, it's just very strange. It does seem like she went along with the plea deal knowing that, the investigation was going to slow down. I mean, I don't know. It's just so manipulative. And I don't know, from the search warrant. So there's a search warrant that they use to seize her phones. And you notice her father and her brother aren't testifying, but her father and brother were there that morning and they helped her drive the car back to Dighton. So they should have testimony that, the taillight wasn't broken, right? But for whatever reason, well, they don't want to perjure themselves, so they're not going to testify about it. They probably know these other charges are coming. And so I'm thinking that they're offering Turtle Boy a plea deal to flip on Karen Reed. And he's publicly saying he's not taking it, but I mean, he needs to think very carefully about that, because if he ends up doing more time than Karen Reed, that would be ridiculous. I mean, maybe it's warranted, because this case has turned into the harassment rather than what the actual trial is about. And it's about the murder or the manslaughter of John O'Keefe. I just don't know. Oh, thank you, Space Ninja. I mean, this is an exhausting trial. It's just very frustrating, like everything about it. So I think X is just so toxic. It's just so toxic. Like, the people are just so toxic and so aggressive and refusing to believe anything. And it's like such bad faith arguments. It's like, why do these people really want this to be true so bad? I mean, any court case that I've ever watched, like, I might have like an inkling of what I believe, but I'm never like tied to that. It's like, wait for the evidence to come, and then that's how you should decide, right? And it's like, these people aren't doing that. These people just want to say everything's a lie, all the evidence is fake, period, end of story. And it's weird. I don't understand it. But it's like, all of these like social media people are the ones that are, twisting it too, because I don't think many people are watching the whole trial. Even I'm watching it like 90% of the time, but like some of it's so boring that I'm like doing something else. I'm kind of watching. So it's like, it's very easy to manipulate and pull out the pieces. So like, if you just pull out the cross examinations and seeing people looking confused when Jackson's going at them, it's very easy to convince people like, oh, look, everybody's lying. You know, it's just such manipulation, and they're still going so strong with the social media thing. I thought all of them were pretty boring on whatever the last day was. The doctor was boring, unprepared. But I mean, I'm not even that interested if she was drunk or not. So like, I'm just like, oh, who cares? And like, a lot of people are complaining like Lally is hasn't presented any real evidence yet, yada yada yada. But it's like there's literally a freaking massive conspiracy theory he needs to kind of debunk. And some people aren't getting that. If people weren't tuned into this earlier, like when all the social media crap was going on, they probably don't understand. Like I'm bored like hearing about all these people, but at the same time they were saying that like his body was like put out there like right before they came, so like he didn't really have hypothermia, he was on top of the snow, so he does have to get into all these details to debunk all that BS. So it's like, I get it, and other people should get it, because when his case ends, when the prosecution rests, the defense is gonna do whatever they do. But it's, if they didn't debunk all this stuff during their case, and he wants to do it earlier before he presents the real evidence, it's just gonna, you know, muddy the waters more. That's all that the defense is doing, is muddying the waters. There is no coherent alternative explanation at this point. There's none. What, it's Brian Higgins? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't even know what they're trying to say. And I don't think the jury knows either. I believe tomorrow is a full day of court. I think there's 3 days next. I'm not even sure. I thought tomorrow was, I mean, I would be kind of happy if we have another break. It is just so exhausting to like listen to all of it. I just really want to get into the good stuff, and the good stuff being like her voicemails. I want to see if she really scrubbed her phone. It's seeming that way. It is seeming like she somehow was able to get into her phone and scrub some stuff out of there. And that's probably why they're harping so bad on Jen McCabe with the fake deletions, because I mean, I know that she didn't delete the 911 call. She, you know, it's like in order, it shows on that report that all these calls were deleted, including the 911 call. She definitely didn't delete the goddamn 911 call. So it's like, using logic, you know, they're categorizing things incorrectly, clearly. And so are they doing this because Karen has a bunch of deleted crap on her phone? Like, I don't know. It's just going to be interesting. I just want to hurry up and get there, because who knows what the mob is going to say about that. I mean, because I've been saying, like, what if her phone is in airplane mode? Like, a what if? And like the mob is like, then she should definitely be acquitted if they can't even prove she was at the house. I'm like, I just don't know what's wrong with these people. They just want her to get off because they already like picked that team or something. It is so demented. And it's like, it's bizarre. I don't understand. I mean, it's so bizarre. They're like willing to vilify these innocent people for no reason. For no reason. I don't know. I mean, so they potentially could bring Colin Albert back if they're going to try to do that with the fight video, because that would be like new information. I don't know if any of them are him though. I have no idea. I can't tell. And the one that potentially could be him is the one where he's getting slammed against the locker, but they're not punching each other in the face. They're kind of like pushing each other around. It does look like they have Canton shirts on. So that one potentially could be him, but that's not a fight. Like, that's definitely not a fight. So it's just, I mean, they might try it. They try to do it with Katie McLaughlin. They're like, we found more pictures with her, so we need to bring her back. And like, do what? Bring her back and do what? Say, oh, you actually had a picture like a month ago in a group. It doesn't, the whole argument is just dumb. And people run with it because the bad faith social media people just pushing these stupid narratives. It's like, I don't know. And at this point now they're saying like the niece must be Jen McCabe got to the niece, so the niece is gonna essentially make up things to get, like, my God. She obviously called people. She obviously said these things. I've never woken up in the morning and been like, oh my God, someone's not home. I must have hit them. Did I hit them? And like someone brought it up recently to me in one of my comments, is that Carrie Roberts asks her, like when she gets to Jen McCabe's, Karen, did you check the house? And Karen says no. Like, if she didn't check the house, she knows that he was never there. Like, she knew that she hit him. Like, it's just, come on. I don't know. I don't know how our phone could be in airplane mode. Like, that's the thing that, because your phone, in one part of something that I read, they said that they were able to track her location using the RTT, the tower data, basically. And so to show that she was going back towards the Fairview Road home that morning before she went to Jen McCabe's house. And they said they could do that because she was on the phone. And I was like, because she was on the phone? Because essentially your cell phone, they can track you all the time with tower data. You don't have to be on the phone. That's why it's really weird. Like, I feel like she got into the phone somehow, or like did something to the phone. And we know that in the search warrants, so the search warrants were granted to get her phones because of the Turtle Boy harassment stuff. And they went there, served it, and she locked them out of the house and factory reset her phone. So we know that she was, who knows if they were able to get stuff off of it. I mean, she knows how to do it. Like, these are like sketchy people. I don't like any of them. Yeah, she was drunk. She hit him and left. I think they can use clips of her interviews for evidence. I think they can. I don't know if they're going to use the videos. I don't know if they're going to use the transcripts or like how they're going to do it. I think the video would be best. I agree. I mean, I think that's what I want to see. Like, and it's just sketchy. Like the way that they said it though, they said it with tower data because she was on phone calls, and we know she was talking to Katie Camerano. I mean, are those the only people she was talking to? I wonder. I think she probably was talking to her dad and her brother, maybe. Because Katie Camerano, she was talking to, I think 5:30 was one of the times that she said. Which I think would be around the time that would, that would be the time. Because she's pulling out of the driveway, I think at like 5:09, 5:10. I don't know. The Canton Library clip is confusing me too, because it shows it's like a still, but it looks like it's her car, but it says it's at 12, and I don't think they left the bar yet. So I'm like, is that one off by like 10 minutes then? So is their times wrong? Like, I don't know. Well, that's good to know. I don't know about the Stefan Stearns thing, but that is good to know that they can recover something. Yeah, I mean, that was a big part of Turtle Boy. One of Turtle Boy's many charges is that he was leaking people's addresses and phone numbers to like his cult, and they were harassing them. I think he did it to Trooper Proctor. And so, I mean, that's one of his many charges. So it's unbelievable. But the kids, pictures of people's kids Karen was sending. Karen was finding them on Facebook because she was still like connected with people, and then sending them through the Signal app to Turtle Boy so that Turtle Boy can freaking put them in blogs and circle their faces. Like, it's so deranged. I feel like the crime of how she's intimidating the witnesses is almost worse, or it's just as bad. Because I mean, if they were going to give her 16 months, I mean, that was before they knew all the other stuff though too. So when they offered her 16 months, it was probably like she didn't have a record, she was drunk, assuming it was an accident, and then she rejected it, and they came back with the murder too. And her team sees it as like, oh yeah, it was like vengeance for not taking the plea deal. It was like bullying her. But I think it's because they actually put the evidence all together at that point. When they offered her the plea deal, they just knew that he was dead. She didn't have a record. Like they weren't considering all the evidence, most likely. Yeah, you can't accidentally reverse. So the warning sensors, I mean, I'm like wondering what the console thing is. So Lally, when the jurors went to look at the house, he said to pay attention to the console. And I guess the console had been like stripped open. I wonder if no, we would have heard about that probably. So I don't know what he's telling them to look at in the console. But apparently it was like stripped open, because they probably took out like the black box or whatever from in there. But like, why do they need to pay close attention to it? But also when he was like questioning Jen McCabe, he asked her, did you see anything in the console that stood out to you? And she didn't know what he was talking about. But I mean, those two things, I'm like, what the hell? What was it? What was it? And on another call, someone said like, oh, I was thinking it was Karen's vodka glass was in the console. And I was like, oh, maybe. I was thinking that it was like a hazard light or something. I just don't know what the hell he's trying to get at. But I guess there's something. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking, but like, what is it? The juror's not going to know what to look for that. Yeah, so I think mine was, I had a Lexus, but it was like all on the steering wheel where you controlled that kind of stuff. But like the braking sensors only worked under 5 miles an hour or something. I don't think it works if you're flooring it. Like, and that's so, and then in the snow, it didn't work that well. So if she had snow on the back, it probably like covering the sensor wouldn't work. So, I mean, it's potential that it wasn't working. But I mean, that's the thing, like people, I just wish that the other side even considered all of these things. Cause it's like, I mean, that's a much better defense than what they're saying, just denying facts and like saying everyone's a liar. Like a real defense would be like, it was snowing. The sensor was off. She has MS. She hit the gas. She thought she was in drive and didn't know she hit him. I mean, I don't know if I would believe that, but whatever. And like the thing is about her phone calls to him started at like 1 a.m. So to me, that just seems like kind of a big gap in time. Like, did she know that she hit him? And then at 1 a.m. she decided to, leave those voicemails as if she left him at the waterfall angry. Maybe. I mean, I just can't wait to get into her like stuff. Because right now it's just been like disparaging all the witnesses and it's like exhausting. And so Lally wanted to probably get all that out of the way because it's like, do they really even have much on any of these witnesses? Oh, they got a new phone. Oh, they did this. I mean, even if they didn't get new phones, the defense still wouldn't have their phones because the subpoena was never granted. So it really doesn't even matter. But it's just like the optics of it. But if we then see, oh, Karen Reed factory reset her phone. Oh, she put it in airplane mode as soon as she hit him. That's going to be wild. I can't imagine that she is, because it just didn't seem like she was that coherent. Like she's yelling all this stuff. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Oh, the big thing that the cult cares about today is like, and I think we've known this for a long time, is that, the waterfall was closing at 12:15 or whatever when they were leaving. They're like last call at 12 or something. I know that what if she did remove something from the dash? That's what I was thinking too. I just can't imagine that she was that coherent to be able to do something like that. Unless they did it. I feel like that would have been in the reports though. If when Proctor seized her vehicle, I think that definitely would have been noted. Like they would have said the damage on the back of the car is this, but they would have been like, oh, and all the shit's missing from her car. I don't think the backup cameras record. I was looking at that. So Toyota TechStream is kind of a more advanced like EDR. So EDR is like your black box, and that's in like most new cars now. And that's like if you get in an accident, if the airbags are deployed, it's going to record your speed, like all that crap. But Toyota TechStream is more advanced. It like knows about lights being out. It knows about like your tires. And so I don't know. So they might have tried to clear the EDR data somehow. And I don't know. Like, it's just really interesting because it does seem like there's a cover up going on. And it's not the cover up that everyone thought it was originally, but the cover up is on Karen's side. And somehow the rings were deleted. It just doesn't seem like she was that coherent. And that's why I'm like, well, someone helped her. And then if her phone was scrubbed before Proctor got it, like that's strange. But I don't know, the garage door not going down, that seems weird. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that would be interesting. But if it didn't register a collision, or maybe they cleared that out somehow. So I know from when they were downloading her car data, they didn't get anything from it at first, from the EDR. So I think the EDR is separate from TechStream. So Toyota TechStream is like a more Toyota only, more advanced thing. So I don't know though. Yeah, I definitely think that she saw him lying there. I just don't know if she saw him lying there in the morning or if she saw him that night. And like, let me turn this light on. And so there was like a mock-up that someone did. I forget what it's called. It's like those, AI type things of the accident, and it's all wrong. So it's kind of on the side of, oh, this couldn't have happened. But they have him facing her car, which he wasn't because his damage is on his right side. So he had to have his back facing to her. But it was interesting because I just feel like, so Matt McCabe did see her car down the street, like past to the other house at one point. And that might be where he got out of the car. And then he started walking towards the house. Because I mean, she had to get 60 feet away before she went to back up. So I'm thinking he got out of the car down the street and started walking towards the house, and she backed up to go yell at him more. Maybe she didn't mean to hit him. Maybe she did. Who knows? But she hit him, and then I don't know, panicked, called people, put her phone in airplane mode. Who knows? It's very interesting though. At 12:41, they said there was a voicemail. The Commonwealth provided a voicemail at 12:41 where you could hear the garage door closing and her high heels walking on the garage floor. And so the Commonwealth is saying this happened at 12:45. And so like that's a big discrepancy. Unless she was calling him, I don't know. It's just so weird. I agree. She wasn't upset or distressed for John. She was just worried about the trouble she was in. I think 100% that's true. And I mean, that would be an awful situation to be in, but I mean, she probably could have saved his life if she took the correct actions immediately. So like, that's what makes it murder. She didn't just do it by accident. It's just such a bizarre thing. And like, we just don't know that those lost hours, those 4 hours, like, was she pacing around? She might have expected that she was going to get in trouble. So she pulled her car in the garage and was like waiting because she probably figured, oh, I hit him. Maybe she didn't look at him laying there. She just took off because she's like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble. I need to get home. I'm going to get a DUI. And then expecting that, he was pissed at her and someone else, like he went in the house and was partying. I mean, I have no idea. It's just like her phone is what's going to tell the answer. I just think that she's so sketchy. It's just so hard to like have any good faith in what her actions were, just because of everything that's come out. Yeah, I agree. So he was texting her. I mean, I think that Higgins texting her was probably why she did not want to go to that house. And then Higgins called, or did he text from the Alberts? I think he texted, didn't he? And it was at 12:30 or something. I mean, they were friends, so yeah, it is weird. And the whole like snowplow thing. So I heard like a theory about Higgins that could be true. Could be true. The reason why that whole Jeep with the snowplow, why so many people didn't talk about it. Like Caitlin Albert came home with her mother and her father, I think, and she didn't even see the Jeep with the snowplow on it. And Higgins was already there. So like there's speculation that Higgins actually didn't switch out his work vehicle and he was still driving like the work vehicle at the time, and like that's what the lie was. And that's why there's so much confusion about the Jeep, because he was actually using his government issued vehicle out drinking at a bar, and it's illegal. I don't know. I mean, it's potential because there is a lot of sketchy stuff with the whole Higgins thing about his car. Like it's because those three kids showed up in the truck, right? And none of them say anything about the Jeep. They all say that they pulled in front of the driveway and Karen Reed's car was right there in front of them. The government vehicle was not the one with the plow. And so like that's why his personal vehicle was the Jeep Wrangler with the plow. And that's why, and I don't know, only some people saw it there. And it was all the adults. None of the kids saw it. Not one of the kids. Not one. It's like all of the adults all said it was parked there by the mailbox. But then the kids in the truck that pull up. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's so weird. He said he did it as a joke. I don't know. The whole thing is it's just weird because like Higgins, what time did Higgins even leave? He didn't get back to the police station until 1:30, I think. But then he's saying that he left the house between 12:30 and 1, which is exactly the time when Karen would have hit him. So it's like, did he leave before they got there? But the kids in the truck didn't say anything about a Jeep by the mailbox. So it's like, he didn't leave before then because they just had gotten back from the bar. So it is like a weird thing. I think there is something there. And so like I've said that all along, that Brian Higgins and Brian Albert, their sketchiness is not regarding this murder. It's about other shit that they probably shouldn't have been doing. Not necessarily anything bad, but like just it could even be just like text messages on their phone talking shit, sexist comments, like rude comments. Especially seeing how like the defense like blew up Jen McCabe's phone. Like nobody wants that out. Maybe I feel like if they did, I feel like he would just come up with it. I mean, those text messages were so embarrassing. Like, I feel like if you're going to give that up, you just give up the whole story and just be transparent. And I think he did have credibility on that front. I just think there's something sketchy about maybe the work vehicle. Maybe I just don't understand like how the Jeep could have been there. But then the kids didn't see it in the truck. I don't know. Okay. Oh, that's true. He didn't say that, did he? So yeah, maybe that's the case. Imagine if he no. I was like, maybe he went home and like bangs Karen at John's house when John was laying there dead. But that would be ridiculous. I don't know. It's just so strange about his goddamn car. There's some sketchiness about that Jeep. I just can't make sense of it. I can't, because I mean, sometimes people don't see things, but if a big ass Jeep with a plow on it was there, those kids in the truck would not be like, we pulled right behind them. They were like a car length in front of us, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, so the thing for me is that they literally said that they were in the driveway and there was nothing in between them and Karen's car, and Karen's car kept moving up and up and up and up. I didn't even know anything about the Jeep until this trial. And so even Jen McCabe, like he was hammering her about the Jeep, and she's like, they probably didn't ask me about the Jeep. Because she had never mentioned it until later on either. And it's just like, why did they want to put the Jeep there? I don't know. And I don't think it's anything to do with the murder itself. I think it has to do with drinking and driving, because he's an ATF agent. He's alcohol. I don't even know what the T is. I know it's alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. I think that's what it is. And so him drinking and driving, like that's a huge problem. So it could be that. Yes, Higgins did go to move the vehicles at the station, then he went home. I guess the issue is, though, he got to Canton Police Department at 1:30. That's like 2 minutes away. And supposedly he left the Albert residence between 12:30 and 1. I think that's the timeline. And that's exactly the time when Karen would have been out front or hitting him. And then Higgins did testify that he was there when Nagel showed up. He like wasn't paying attention, whatever. It doesn't sound like he was there for that long at all. So, you know, his timeline is a little whack. That's a good point. Like he didn't scan his card in right away, possibly. So he could have been there for a little while. I just think Karen is wacko. I mean, I think because when she started text, like the thing that it might have been a one night thing where she was like horny that one night, and it was like he was in the house and she's like, you should stay over. I think you're hot. And like she wasn't really trying to make anything of it, maybe. Or maybe I don't know. I really don't know. She's weird. I just can't even imagine. Like, oh yeah, stay over. You should stay over. I was not paying attention to anybody's drinks. I have no idea how many drinks anybody had. Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like she was trying to set Jen McCabe up, like having her drive her car like that. Because I mean, why? Carrie was going to come and get her, so like, why did she even leave the house? It does sound like she wanted, you know, Jen McCabe to drive her car. I don't know why. I don't know why. See, I thought of this too, that she probably did show John, she could have showed John the text to make him jealous. And yeah, that's interesting. So, I mean, if John did find out about the text, it does sound like she wanted him to know. He could have gone in and talked. I doubt that. Guys usually aren't like that. They're not going to make a big fuss about that in front of people. But, you know, Karen would be embarrassed. Or he could have confronted Higgins. I don't think it would be that, though, because if he saw those texts, he would see that Karen was being the aggressor the whole time. So it's like, I don't think he would be mad at Higgins. He would be mad at Karen. So I don't know. That whole angle, I just don't get. Yeah, Karen, it just seems like such a sketchy individual. It's very like, just like the witness intimidation. A normal person would be so apologetic to the family, immediately. The way that she just cut them off when she was like taking care of the kids, and the kids kind of looked at her as a parental figure, kind of, and she just like ghosted them. I mean, and got a lawyer. Like that's so telling. She never asked any questions about what happened to him. It was all about, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Did I hit him? No questions about like, how did he get here? What happened to him? Nothing. She didn't demand the cops to go inside the house. She had no curiosity. She had nothing. Yeah, I mean, she just, I don't know. I feel like she was hysterical. I mean, partially because of John, but partially because she's like, I am so screwed. I mean, she got the lawyer right away. She wanted to commit suicide because she knew what she did. It wasn't because John was dead. It was because she's like, I am going to jail. So, I mean, her father straightened her out, and he's like, don't worry, we'll get you like the scummiest lawyers we can find. You won't go to jail for a minute. We'll make sure. We'll start like a mob to go after all the witnesses. Like, it's just so ridiculous at this point. Like the niece, she shook the niece awake and told her, I might have done something. Call John. She was pacing up and down the hallway and saying, maybe he got hit by a plow. Like, why would anybody ever think that? Ever. Like, she knew she left him out in the cold. Like, it's just so blatantly obvious. It's like, I don't understand what's wrong with people. Yeah, so psychopath, borderline, narcissism. And I mean, you can have the dark triad of personality traits. It does seem like that. I mean, the way that she uses money to kind of make up for her bad behavior. That's very true. If Karen and John felt like the others didn't really want Karen to go back, but John did, it would be enough to enrage her. That is true. I feel like the women liked her, though. It seems like, anyway. I mean, they didn't see her true nature. Like, her true nature is coming out now for everyone to see, like, through her texts. And, once we see her text between her and John and her voicemails, I feel like that's going to, like, shed a little bit more light. I know. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, she told Carrie she didn't even look in the house. So why would you not look in the house unless you knew you left him somewhere? It's just like, nothing makes sense. Like, literally nothing makes sense. She was in a panic. Yeah, I think all these testimonies, I mean, I think the kid's testimony, I mean, I feel like Jen McCabe is going to be a memorable one just because of all the fighting. But I feel like they might have like questions about some of the stuff, like, oh, the butt dials or whatever. But once the real stuff starts coming out, because I know I was like looking at Lally's. So there's someone, Ballad or someone, that's going to testify, and she's going to fit all the pieces together back into the taillight, I guess. The CERT team is going to talk about how they discovered the taillights. there's going to be an expert that does the key cycle data and how they know that she went 60 feet in reverse at 12:45. The SART team finding the sneaker, and then the snow melting, the guy finding that piece. The DNA is on the taillight and the DNA from the taillight and the DNA, the hair matches. And they also say, he said in his opening statement that the DNA was not consistent with the two troopers. I think that was the thing that they were saying for a long time, is that John's DNA was on there, but so was Trooper Proctor's and so was Yuri Buchnick's. And in the opening statements, he said no. There's also a person, Hanley, I think, that did testing on the glass to say that it's the glass that matches the glass from the waterfall that was on her bumper. So, I mean, there's still a lot of evidence. And so the blood alcohol, we saw that. I don't know. The phone data, though, that's the stuff that I'm the most interested about, is like his GPS, both of their phones, really. I mean, that's been the main piece of a lot of trials lately, is like the digital evidence. And so, I mean, John's phone, basically, it shows him GPS. He's in that spot. And like, it doesn't mean that he could have still been walking around, but it's like, whatever the, I think it's like 10 meters or 10 feet. It showed him not moving within, after 12:25, I think. And at 12:31 or something, his last steps registered. So that could have been when they're sitting in the car, but she could have pulled down a little bit further and it wasn't enough to be out of that range. I've been seeing this stuff about the belts for a while. Yeah, I mean, who knows? They like to hang out with single people. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, she's just a whore. Like, I mean, I don't know. She doesn't like women, maybe. Just from like her texting, like the way she's like, oh, I'm the hottest one at Hillside. Like, it seems like she's just not, she wants to believe that other people are jealous of her. It's not like they actually are, but she likes that. She wants, oh, guys all want me. Like, you can just tell she's one of those. And it's like, they haven't even shown those yet. I mean, that's, so on whatever the last day was, it was a trooper that was supposed to testify. So Trooper Garino, I think, did the phone extraction. And so he'll be able to talk about the GPS coordinates, maybe the cell phone data. And Jessica Hyde is the one, I think she's on the list. I'm not sure. I think she is the one that's going to talk about the Celebrate extraction. I just don't want to keep hearing about I mean, yeah, I get it. Like, I want to hear them testify about like the how long to die in cold. I already know what they're going to say, but I really, really want to know what the hell Karen's phone shows. Like, I want to know when it clicked for her, what happened, because that's key in deciding if it's manslaughter or murder, in my opinion. Because if I don't know, if she was Googling, maybe she was Googling how long to die in cold in the middle of the night, hours before he was found. I mean, then that means she knew. Yeah, that's the thing. So at 1, so we don't know yet, but I think at 1, she was saying, you're effing another girl, blah, 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 blah. Which I don't know why she would be saying that, because she was dropping them off. She, later on said that she dropped them off at the Alberts, and everyone there was a married couple besides kids. So who did she think he was banging? And did she try to call Jen or any of the people that he was with or text any of them? No, she didn't. So like, it's like, you didn't think he was there. I don't know what she's thinking. To be honest, like, I don't know if those texts were like a complete part of the cover up. I don't know if she was starting to cover up then by saying, I left him at the waterfall after an argument. But now she's saying there wasn't an argument at all. Like in her latest interviews on Nightline, she's like, no, I watched him walk up to the door and then he didn't call. Well, I guess she didn't have Jen's phone number to text her. She had Higgins though. If she was worried, she could have been like, did you see John? Yeah, that's the thing that I'm curious about. I mean, unless they just don't remember, like, I don't know how. I think he was in the first grand jury though, so it was kind of fresh. So like but maybe because the car was off, they didn't like pay any attention to it and they stopped in the middle of the street. I don't know. So, I mean, Ian Whiffen has a blog that was written in November, and it was the testing of the DB wall file timestamps. And basically, he just tried in a bunch of different versions of iOS to see how it behaved. And basically, he did searches, saved it, closed it, opened it, blah, 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 blah. And so none of them were saving at the time that the search was done. They were all saving. I think it was all of them. Pretty much all of them were saving at different events, but the timestamp stayed the same. So like basically you could search the basketball game. You could search the basketball game at 2:28. And if you close the tab, if you close the tab or minimize the tab or something, I forget what he did. And it was different versions, different things happened. So like it would save in the DB wall, it would show, basketball search at this time. But then he would do another search and do some action and it would save the new search and the old timestamp would still be there. And so that was in some versions of iOS. I think she had iOS 16 at the time. And so in the iOS 16 version, it was basically if you did the search, it was session data. So the start of the session, it would give you a timestamp. It would log it. It wouldn't log it until you, I think, minimized or something, or put it in the foreground. So if you switched tabs, it would log it. But if you just kept it in the front, it didn't log anything. And so I think that's what happened. So she searched the basketball thing at night, went to bed. It didn't log, but it had that timestamp from when that session had started. And then when she did the later searches and did close the tab, then it still had that session start time. And I mean, it's like pretty obvious. I think that it's the same one as the one that was done in the morning. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I mean, I hope that he can explain it in like a really concise way because his blog is super confusing. I think it's written for programmers so that they'll understand, but I mean, hopefully, because we don't need to know every single iOS. Like he's like iOS 13 did this, 12, 14, and then it was all different. So it's basically like at the end of the day, it was like the DB wall file timestamp is not accurate. Like it's not going to tell you when things happened. And so the DB wall file logs are basically their temporary files. So once you officially close the tab, the DB wall file is, I don't know if it deletes the log, but it's able to be overwritten. So the DB wall file is only to hold the information of current tabs that are open. So once the tab's closed, it'll be marked deleted in the DB wall, but it does not. But the real searches are in the knowledge C database, and those stay there. And those are all there. All of our searches are there. So I'm curious about this too. I mean, he's going to look really bad if he does say that. I think he's going to I think what he'll do is he's going to try to say potentially. He's not going to say it happened at that time. He's going to say it's possible. Like, he's going to beat around the bush. He's not going to want to say it because, that's not going to be good for his reputation. Because if the DB wall timestamps are behaving that way, like, it's going to be well known after this case, especially. So, I mean, he's not going to want to say that shit. He might just totally say a bunch. Like, it's going to be interesting to see how he tries to get around it. And I hope that Lally is confrontational with him. And he's like, well, in your report, you say unequivocally happened at this time. But at the same time, I don't know if he wrote that piece. I have to look at it again, because there was part of it was like Richard Green's report, and then part of it was Alan Jackson or someone like paraphrasing it and adding the unequivocally happened at 2:27 or whatever. I don't know if Richard Green said that actually. But hopefully Lally keeps saying that word. He's like, so it didn't unequivocally happen at 2:27. Yes or no? Yes or no? Because let's hear it. Oh my God, it's gonna be great. I don't think he'll say it. I don't think he will. He's not gonna want to ruin his reputation. Because then in future trials, this is gonna be, people are gonna challenge him being used at all if he says something that totally ruins his credibility in this trial. I know, I do know this. So the other trial that I know that Rick Green and AJ worked on together was the Kevin Spacey one. And in that one, it was about phones. It was about deleted calls, deleted text messages or something. And so I don't know what it was, but it was like Kevin Spacey was getting accused of groping a kid not a kid, but like a 17, 18-year-old at the bar. And I think the kid ended up pleading the fifth about something because he must have been texting about what happened to his friends, and maybe he said something and then deleted it, and they found it, or maybe they didn't, who knows. But they ended up dropping the charges. And so I think that Alan Jackson is famous for getting cases dismissed, not necessarily famous for being successful at trial. So, I think he's effective in the pre-trial stuff, and I think that's why they brought him in to try to get the case dismissed, because he was going to find the stuff, and that's why now Rick Green is going to have to back it up. And is he going to do it? It's going to be really interesting to see this go down, because if I was Rick Green, I would be like, I don't want to testify. Because it's just not going to be good for him no matter what, because he did put it in the report. It did show up as that timestamp, so he can stand by that. He can say in the report, I didn't know about the DB. He's not going to want to screw up the case either. So it's going to be really, really interesting. I hope that Lally kind of goes after him like a pit bull. I don't know which kid that would be. From Adventures in Babysitting, that's a long time ago. The old one from the 1980s. I know that Spacey has potentially touched people. I don't know. But I know Alan Jackson was also Harvey Weinstein's lawyer. And, we know that he was raping a lot of people. So I think he doesn't have a problem. That's the thing. I could never do it. And so he's well paid at least, but the people that are kind of doing the same thing on social media, the YouTubers, it's really gross, because what are they getting, a few $100, and they're gonna totally villainize all these people. Yeah, I think it's all about power, money. They think they're above everyone. Karen does have that attitude. To me, she does, and even it comes through in Turtle Boy. A lot of the stuff that Turtle Boy said to Jen McCabe, when he was harassing her at that game, he's like, "Did you think you could outsmart Karen Reed?" She's like, so smart and talented and all this stuff. And it's like, why is he saying that? Like, she must think that of herself, because he has been kind of echoing her like thoughts, basically. Like, I think a lot of the stuff that has come out through Turtle Boy, it's just her thoughts. He's just the mouthpiece. He's just the megaphone of her thoughts. Yeah, I don't. That's the only trial that I know of from Kevin Spacey. I mean, it does seem like he gets around. I don't know what the accusations exactly were about Kevin Spacey, but I mean, that kid at the bar in Martha's Vineyard, I think he was 17, 18, but it seems like it could have been consensual. I mean, he could have known that he probably knew Kevin Spacey was a celebrity. It was probably, who knows? I don't know. Last night, Aiden was asking the lawyer that visits the young jerks if Karen is found guilty, if she will get more jail time because of him. And his heart sank when the lawyer said yes. Oh, poor little turtle boy. Yeah, I mean, even the Boston Herald is kind of, it's just, I can't believe the Boston Herald is like putting the stuff that they're putting in the newspaper about this. I saw one where it was like the townies with no teeth, and I was like, what in the world? Like, it's just such like awful things that they're saying about these people. When it's all Karen Reed, it's the stuff that Karen Reed is probably pushing out because she thinks she's better than everybody. She thinks, oh, I'm smart and educated and I'm good looking and yada, yada, yada. Everyone's jealous of me. It's just kind of pathetic. What is LYK? Runkle of the Bailey. I can't think of what LIK is. I don't really subscribe to any of these people. I looked at Emily Baker because someone recommended her, and I watched her for 5 minutes, and I was like, nope. And it was just because she was interrupting to complain about witnesses, and like, I was just like, I don't need to hear this. Oh, lawyer, you know. Is that the DUI guy is the one that's like, I just can't believe the stuff that he puts. He's the worst. Like, he's putting stuff like, I just can't believe that people are like, at some point, and so I have noticed though, there are some creators that are starting to, they're not saying such hard stuff about the families anymore. I think they're getting ready to accept that Karen Reed is guilty. Because they were going really hard on all of the families, like the Alberts and the McCabe's and the investigation, and they're starting to focus more on different aspects. They're still like challenging the investigation because that's their audience, but I can see that they are starting to realize like what's happening. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully this week. Come on, Lally. I was thinking like last week he should have dropped some bombs. Maybe he was trying to. Maybe whoever the last person was to testify was gonna be good, but I don't know. We'll see. Yes, I did see all that drama. So did Nick Rocco and his wife know Karen before this, or are they just turtle riders that got involved? Like, I'm super confused about like how they all know each other. If they were just part of the whole Free Karen Reed thing. Because I think Nick Rocco is persuasive in that he does not seem like a scumbag like Turtle Boy. So I think that's why Karen has taken the side of Nick and Jenna in that whole Turtle Boy debacle. I saw that Karen actually like went into the comments and was like, Nick and Jenna, I think maybe she just said Nick. I don't know, but she was like sticking up for them against Turtle Boy. And I think it's because he is much better PR than Turtle Boy, because he doesn't come off as so scummy. Broken Baker. I've seen him in my comments a lot. I don't know who he is, though. Oh my God. Yeah, I just can't. I cannot deal with these people. I mean, that's the thing that's like scary, because it's like at this point, and I mean, at what point? I don't know. I feel like it's pretty early on. Like I was able to figure out what was going on here just because things were not mathing. Math was not mathing. It was not. It was never. Most of the stuff that they were saying, there was no support behind it. As soon as you looked into something, it fell apart. And so even then, I mean, I think the How Long to Die in Cold was probably their best thing, and that's about to be gone. So I don't even know what they're gonna have after that. I just don't understand why people are holding on to it. People aren't considering like, oh yeah, Karen Reed hit him. She fucking told all these people it. She was waking up the kid in the morning to say, I might have done something. I just don't understand like what these people are thinking. And like the creators, I mean, yeah, the conspiracies. I mean, maybe that's what they do with all these cases, is they take the angle that they know is going to be the most popular. But it's like, I think a lot of people need to learn to use their brains. So it's like, can't you? I don't know. So to me, I think that it would be better, more beneficial to literally like brainstorm with people on cases, but like they just want the grift. They don't care about what's good for the world, I guess. They just want to make money and do whatever. It's gross. It's really gross. Yeah, the courts definitely have to rein this shit in, and I think it's I mean, this, we'll see what happens. I mean, they pulled this whole case against Aiden and Karen in the background. They saw what was happening, and I'm trying to like look through that again, the search warrants, just to see. I don't know, a few people have been like messaging me about it, and I did read it at the time when it first came out. I think it was back in like November. But I mean, any of these kind of big documents, like once you go back, so like now going back and reading it, because we know a lot more now than we did then, it's probably going to have I'm going to have a lot of different ideas probably. So I do want to go back through and read it. And that's always true with these cases. It's like you have so little information in the beginning. Sometimes when you go back and read early documents, it's like, oh, like a lot of things make sense, why they were calling out certain things. I always wondered about like why they called out. So in Karen Reed's original affidavit, they specifically call out that she really wanted to make pizza. And it's like, why? Because it was such an abbreviated document. Like, why is that the one thing that they are saying? It's just weird. And I still don't know why. Are they trying to say she was hangry? Or like, maybe if she got pizza that night, none of this would have happened. Who knows? But that's just such a weird detail to call out. Like, I understand the glass. Like, she walked in the bar with the glass. He had a glass. They found a glass next to him. I think that's why they wanted to call it the glasses. I know. Carrie, John is dead. And it hangs up. I mean, she must have. I just don't understand, like, how she woke up and started having these revelations or whatever. I mean, what was she doing all night? Like, she let him die in the cold. Like, she literally let him die out in the cold like roadkill. And I think that's what it's all about. That's what the murder charge is. Like, so what was she doing? Was she on her phone? I just don't understand. So who is Elizabeth? So it's like in this goddamn, in the affidavit to seize her phones, the search warrants, it's like all of his videos, like everything that's in there is he put it all in video. So it's like, you can't even deny this stuff. They have cameras. They put up cameras on the poles at these people's houses to show the rolling rally. Like that rolling rally shit, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable that citizens would do that, being completely clueless as to the crime. Because I mean, as soon as you look into it, you can kind of tell. I felt guilty immediately, and I didn't even say that much. I like made 1 or 2 videos, I think, and I mean, just assessing like what I thought I knew, and I felt bad even for that. But for me to even go further, like I wouldn't have gone any further without checking more. I was like, oh, this sounds like a good story. Put out a couple videos, and then, you know, they were popular. So then I tried to vet the information. I was like, oh shit. But I think most people, most creators didn't care. They didn't try to vet, or they don't try to vet the information. They're like, this is what's popular. Let's keep going. Let's keep it going. And it's so wrong. So I believe when they left, Karen Reed told her to call Michael Camerano. So then Michael Camerano, he testified and he picked her up, and he was trying to get the garage door closed, and there was footage of that. So I think it was pretty quick. It wasn't I don't think she was alone for long. But yeah, oh my God, what a stressful day for all of them. I mean, and it's starting to make sense now. Like they're all like, oh, they thought she killed him with a glass. I don't know why they're talking about that now. So in one of Yuri's early reports, he said like potentially he got hit with the glass. You know, they found the glass with them. They found whatever. But like they're going nuts about that lately. Like, oh, they never thought it was a car, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know what, is that like a gotcha? I don't understand. They didn't know what she meant by I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. They, you know, some of the paramedics might have thought of it. I think Jen McCabe and Carrie are the ones that figured it out, because they weren't putting 2 and 2 together that she kept talking about her taillight and saying I hit him. They weren't putting those statements together until after the shock started to wear off and they had conversations, and then she called Lank or whoever to come back, and she was like, this is what I think happened. So I mean, I don't think it's like, and people are all like, oh, she conspired, like planted. Yeah, she's the one that figured it out, but they would have figured it out either way. So I just don't understand like what she had, a broken, cracked up car. Like I don't know what they're thinking. Yeah, that's the problem. That's such a problem. I mean, how much money are they making? Is it worth it? It can't be that much. Yeah, Karen, definitely. I mean, that was one of the, in the beginning. So I think it was probably a week when I believed it, maybe a week. And so like I was reading Turtle Boy's blogs, and there was one where he was talking to Paul O'Keefe, and it was like a instant messenger back and forth. And I was just like Paul O'Keefe was so confident in Karen did it. And then he's like, says to Turtle Boy, he's like, aren't you an investigative journalist? Why aren't you investigating her? There was a Ring camera deleted. She said a lot of weird stuff to us. Do your job if you're an investigative journalist, or something to that effect. And I was like, oh shit. And then I had that conversation with Turtle Boy where he's like, oh, we're not taking any plea deals. And I was like, oh, he's not. He's just on their side. Like he's not investigating. He's not trying to find the truth. He's trying to, you know, create a narrative. So it's really messed up. It's messed up that the Herald is doing that. Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like, there's never been a murder case. Like people are like, oh, it's going to be like the OJ trial. Like, no, OJ didn't wake up his kids in the morning and say, I think I might have done something. Like, my God, it's not the same thing. Like, imagine. Like, it's not the same thing. OJ Simpson, it was, you know, there was sketchy cops, but he did not go around saying, I hit her that morning. to the paramedics. He didn't wake up his kids in the middle of the night and say I might have done something. Like, come on. And Casey Anthony is another one. I mean, Casey Anthony did lie a lot, so it is like changing our story a lot, like how Karen Reed did. But we don't even know how the kid died in the Casey Anthony case. So like that was like the big question mark there, is like maybe it was accidental. We don't know. Here we saw the body was found within hours. So we know where the person died. We know how the person died. There's DNA everywhere on him. There's car on him. There's him on the car. Like there's hair on the car. She admitted it to everybody, and then she changed her story. And she was saying I hit him before she even went there. So it's like, if that jury finds her not guilty, they are the dumbest people on the planet. His was, but I mean, there's outrage here too, where, I mean, like if you think about the movement behind the Free Karen Reed, it's because people believe that government is corrupt and, you know, it's corruption. And so his was a race thing, but this is a corruption thing, I think. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think there's that. I don't think they've even proven there's corruption. I have not really seen anything from them. I'm surprised, actually, by how hard they were going in the pretrial, that there's literally nothing. I mean, they're probably going to bring up those stupid fight videos from Colin Albert because they don't have anything else. I don't know what this is. What is a Diana Lovejoy move? Is she going to faint or something? I bet there's like, so juror number 4, it's probably a turtle rider. It's probably someone that they know. They're probably making faces. They probably, you know, it's probably one of these fucking fucks. But like, that doesn't mean that that juror is going to be in the 13, right? So like, do they not know? So I know like they had 18 to begin with, and then they're going to have 13, I think, or 12, 13. When do they pick those 13? Or do they get to the lawyers pick them at the end? I don't know. I really can't stand the conspiracy things. I mean, I understand to some degree, but it's like not what people think. Like, yes, there's definitely like stuff that goes on that we don't know about, but it's not like to poison everyone or I don't even know. I know, I'm going to Google the Lovejoy thing. So Turtle Boy definitely has no integrity whatsoever. He basically knew that she was guilty from the beginning. Like you can see in the text messages. So in his text message, when he's like, he was pissed about Lucky Loughran. Like he's like, this makes no sense. Do not bring him in. Do not like talk to him. So I'm like, well, if he's a witness, he's a witness, right? But he didn't want Lucky Loughran because How Long to Die in Cold was Googled at 227, and he was like, that doesn't make any sense. If the body wasn't there, she wouldn't be thinking that. But like, she wouldn't be thinking that anyway because she wasn't even at that house. So it's like, I don't know. Like Turtle Boy didn't even believe it. And he's like, I'm getting worried about what I tied myself to in this and da-da-da-da-da. Because it was a stupid story. It's always been a stupid story that these people beat someone up and then put them on the front lawn, but not even like the front lawn, like near the house, like all the way in the corner of the yard, right by the street where any car driving by potentially could see him and save him. And they put him there to die. But they left all their DNA on him. And we're just like, I don't know. We'll just come up with something. Like, it does not make any sense. It's never made any sense. The people that believe it, have something wrong with them. It's sick. It really is sick. Like, it's like evil. It's like you are willing to believe something that is so illogical just because you want to fight corruption that doesn't exist. Like, you're willing to villainize innocent people and prop up a murderer. Like, it's so sick. But hopefully tomorrow brings some good things. I'm gonna wrap up this live, but I know it's gross though. I mean, it's evil. Yep, they want to feed their own ego. And that's the thing too that I've noticed. Like, when I'm trying to, like, because I'm not trying to say like I'm right, I know this. I'm trying to get people to like brainstorm and think about different things, right? Because like the library video, it's like, all right, there's not a reason for her to drive by there, like on Washington Street anyway. So if anything, she was on Sherman and barely visible. I don't know. Just the whole thing is just weird. People just need to start thinking. But thanks, guys. Have a good night, and hopefully we'll see some fireworks tomorrow.